Hi guys, Assalamu alaikum. This is Arif. In this video, we are going to see what are the differences between the vectors, the arrays, and then the vector of arrays, and then the maps in the case of C++ and the vectors in C# are list. So the difference between the list, the array of vector, and then the dictionary which is there. So these are all different concepts, but we are going to see the similarities actually between them. So in order to do that, I have selected this program. So this is the main program. So this is the main function, and in the C++ first of all, and inside this we have a vector which has 5 elements. This is the name of vector p, and it is of type int, this vector, and we are going to give this 5 values, and actually we are going to calculate an output y which is going to have these 5 values. So how we are going to get these 5 values? Actually, if we are going to say x is equal to 1 here, right, this variable, so it is actually at the position number 3 of p, right, and then the 3 is actually the position of p4, right? So we are going to replace this 3 with p4, so it is going to become pp4. This is equal to ppy, so this y value actually here is 4, right? And we are going to say y is 4, and we are going to place this first value here. So this is the way actually we are going to compute all the other values as well, right? And this is going to be our output which we are going to see. But now we are going to define a function which is going to, using this ppy, give us y, right? So this is vector we have defined, again of type int. This is going to give us our result. This result is equal to this pe function which is going to get this as argument, this vector. So it is, this function is actually going to return us a vector of type int which is going to be our this output y, and finally we are going to print that result using this for loop like this. Now let's go towards the function which we are going to use. So this is the actually function p function outside the main program. It is of type vector int, so it is going to return a vector of type int. It is going to be taking a parameter which is also a vector of type int, and we have named it as p. So p.size, vector size, is going to be n, and we are going to return a vector int to this function. So we have defined that vector as y of type int. So we are going to use another vector x which is going to calculate first of all pi, and then from this we are going to get the values according to the ppy function. And after that we are going to run this for loop, and inside this for loop we are going to call this pushback function on our this vector x, and it is going to get the index of these values inside this vector, right? So and this +1 is actually in order to align those values, it is nothing else. And if you are going to ask what is this IndexOf function, I have defined it here outside this p function. It is of type int. I mean, in languages like Java and C#, there is already a function IndexOf which does the same thing. Since in C++ there is no direct function IndexOf, so I have just named that according to those languages. So it is going to take again the two parameters, a vector of type int, and then the int I. This is going to be the elements of this vector, right? And inside this we are going to use the two functions. First of all, this find function. Find function is actually from the library algorithm, and we are going to say that inside this p vector, from the beginning to end, find where is I, right? And after that we are going to use another function, which is this distance function, and it is from the iterator library, and we are going to say from the beginning up to that element which we are getting from here, right? We are going to say find the distance. So for example, from the beginning index 0 up to that element, like for example, if it is at the 4th position, index is going to be 4 because distance is 4, right? So using this distance function we can calculate that. So this is going to be our index of function, and once we are going to get the index of each value, we are going to not only print out the index values but also the values of the element, right? And after that, from that pi, we are going to calculate using that pi ppy, right? So this is going to be our x, and this x, after that inside another for loop we are going to now use the pushback function on our second vector y, which is going to give us our output. And inside this we are going to again call that index of function, and this time from p we are going to get the values according to this +1. Previously we were using I. Since we are going to get ppy, so we are going to again call this function, but this time over this, so that we can use this function twice in order to get the index of, right? And after that we are going to end this for loop, and we are going to return this y. So let's build and run this program so that you guys can see first of all the output, the way it is working. So we can see first of all pi values, these are the input values, and these are the output values ppy. So the first values are these ones, pi values, p values according to the I, right? And the second ones are these y values. Okay, and this we have implemented using the two vectors here of this for. Now I am going to show you how we can do the same stuff using the arrays, and what can be the difference or the similarities by using the arrays, since we are going to always return this y to our function, and which is going to get a vector of type int. So we can't change this, but we can implement this x instead of vector. We can use it as a, you can say, array. See, so array, since the vector size is just like n is also 5, we can't use n here. This is the older version of C++, but if you are going to get a newer version of C++, there you can use this n, but right now here you can't. I have a bit older version, so n is 5, so I am going to put here 5 here plus 1 6. This is going to be the size of our array. Okay, and after that we are going to run this again for loop, but this time actually, since it is not a vector, so we can't use this pushback function, we can use this instead, since the arrays usually assign the values using this equal sign, right? So these two changes we have done, and after that I am going to do it here another change. We can't use this, we have to use this one. So we are going to say on y apply pushback because y is still a vector, and this is going to give us our index of this using the arrays. Okay, so let's build and run this program. So we can see our both input and output values. Actually, we no longer should use this one. We should use this one actually now, because I am going to now see pi values according to this, because we are now right now using this one. So this pi is index this time, you see. So this is actually our index here, and these are going to be our values, you see. Previously this was going to be our index and these were values, but now it's just like opposite. So let's build and run this program. We are going to see the same outputs. First pi values, and then the, you see this one, and then the output values, y values. So this thing we have done. Now we can check, like, we can use this insert function as well. Let's build and run this program. So you see, we can see the output. So I mean, since you see in the case of arrays like this one, we are using the index to put in the values. So same way we can use the vector as an array as well, using this insert function of our vector. So we are going to use, instead of using this line, we can use this line, right? And this line actually, if we are going to say, for example, if we define our map like this, I mean, you know, if we define our x as a map, for example, here, instead of array, we can use the map, like map int x, right? So now what we are going to do, we can use the same thing, or we can use this one. So let's try first this one, okay? Because map has a insert function which can take a key as well as a value, right? And on y we can keep the insert function, right? So let's build and run this program. So we can see the same values, and using this map we can actually see the values using this one as well. So you see, so pushback function or the insert function with the index we can use. And same way actually we can, I mean, in the case of map as well, if we want to use this x like this as well. So this is just like x of x key and then is equal to value. Instead of using this insert function, we can use here this one array assignment as well, using the equal sign. So these are just the similarities between all of these, right? So I think I have covered all the cases using the vector defined in one way, and now I am going to show you how we can define vector in another way as well, so that we can assign the values to the vector using the equal sign as well. So in order to do that, what we are going to do is we are going to say that first of all exclude this line and exclude this line. Now we are going to define our vector like this as well, right? And we can say, okay, use first of all x is equal to array. So now how we can use these two, this vector and this is an array. Let's build and run this program. So using this one, actually what we are going to do is we can't use this one. Where is this? Pushback function. If we define a vector like this, because our output is not going to come up, correct? If we define vector like this, then we should use always the equal sign. So we have defined this as an array. We can use this here, but here what we are going to do is we are going to use this one. So we can see now our output, the right output, right? And now we are going to do is we are going to actually make this x equal to map using the map, right? So we can use again the same line or we can use this line, but we are going to keep using this line. And what we are going to do is now for the map again we can use this one, this for using this equal sign, because our vector we have defined like this. Not like this, but like this. So let's build and run this program. So we can see the same output. Now I am going to show you one more thing, that once we are using this map, x as map, we can assign values using this pushback function as well, but that I think I should delay, because y we have not defined, y is going to take out these equal values. So let's first of all go here and change our this x from map to a vector defined like this. So we are going to say vector int and it is going to have this one, this size. So this is x again and n plus 1. Previously we defined a vector like this. Now we are going to define a vector like this as well. So again we can assign values like this using the equal sign to this vector, right? And also again we can use this, so the rest of the code would be same. You see? So this is the way we can use either equal sign or insert functions or the pushback functions, just like arrays. Now actually I am going to show you one more thing, that for example if we change here vector to this using the pushback function, right, instead of using this one, and here we can also exclude this line and we can define it as a map. So if we define this x as a map, we can, instead of using this for loop, we can use this for loop as well. But using this for loop, we can't use this one because here we have defined a vector in a different manner, which is not going to use our equal sign, but it is going to use our pushback function. So x is map, and we can do this stuff as well to get our index values. So now let's build and run this program and see we can get those. So we can see. So these are just the different ways where we can use the arrays, vectors, and the maps using this similar concept, right? Using the equal sign most of the time. And now let's flip over to our C# program and see how we can do the same stuff. So this is a C# program, and here is its main program, static void main, and here we are going to define a list of int type, and this p is going to be the same variable, and it is going to use the same 5 elements. So list is of type 5 elements, right? And after that, and this is the same output we are going to use. You can use this one as well, input. This, you can see this output as well. We calculate all these formulas. Here I have given those, how we are calculating this one, for example, for y. And after that, we are going to say list result, and this result we are going to give the values from this p function, which is going to take this list as a parameter, right? And after that, we are going to run this for loop to see our result onto the console window. Let's go and see how we have defined this function. So this p function is this one, which is going to return us a list of type int, and then it is going to take a parameter of which is list of type int. So list in this case of C# is just like the vector of our C++. This is the size of the list. p.count function we are going to use, and after that we are going to return this y to this function. Y is also a list of type int. This return value we would need, and this x we are going to calculate our pi values, which is also a list of type int. And here in this for loop, actually we can now use this. So this is going to be our for loop, and this list is going to add the elements on it, this x list, using this add function, and on this add function on p list we can call this IndexOf function. You see, this is an IndexOf function already given in C#, and it is going to give us the index of these values plus 1 we are going to use to align those values, right? And then a console.writeLine we are going to print out. This is going to be our index. This is going to be those values of those index. You see, this is index. These are the values we are going to print out. Pi values. I can show you where is the pi values. These ones we are printing. These values according to the pi. Next we are going to use another for loop to get these values. Y values out of these ppy. So after that we are going to run this for loop, and inside this for loop on this list y we are going to use again this add function, p.indexOf, this time x plus 1. Here it was like index of I. Here we are going to get x values, which we are getting from here. So we are going to call this function twice to get the index of, right? And after that, we are going to close this for loop, return this while. This is our complete program. Let's build and run this program. So we are going to see the pi values, and out of those ppy, we are going to get the y values using this index of twice, right? And now actually I am going to show you, like for example, we can convert these values, x values. We can say define x as a array, right? And now we can actually can't use this add function because this is add function is on the list type only. So you see, we can now assign values to index like this equal sign, the way we do in the arrays. You see, this is the size of array. This is also going to go out because we are no longer use this index function. So we are going to include this line. We are going to say, okay, this is going to be our index. This is going to be now our those values. Okay. This add function we can use, but not this line, but this line actually. So you see, we are using this line now. X of I is going to give us our y values. So now let's build and run this program. So we can see our those pi values, and out of those ppy we are going to get our y values. Now if we have this array, then instead of this line we can use this line as well. So we are using this list. This is the index of this y, and this is going to be our index for this x. So using this insert function, we can print out the values like this as well. You see, same values. Now let's change this code and see if we are going to use a sorted dictionary and define x like this using this sorted dictionary. So we can use this line again, or actually we can use this insert this add function like this as well on our sorted dictionary. Rest is going to be the same, and on the dictionary we can use this same program as well, this insert function as well. You see, so this is the way we are using here the key, this is the way we are using here the value, right? Or we can use this add function as well. So we can see here xxi we are going to get. So let's build and run this program. So we can see also we can actually use this array equal sign here as well. Where is this one? Instead of using this add function, we can assign the dictionary like this as well. So this is key, this is value, using the equal sign. Same output. This is actually our sorted dictionary, the way I am using it right now. Yeah, for our program, this is the requirement. So now let's define y in a different manner as well. Right now y is of type int using this one, so exclude this line and include this line. So now we have actually not this one, include this line. So now we have defined y which is of type, which is a list of type int, but look how we are using here. There is a question mark here and this is a question mark here. So if we are going to define y like this, you see, so we have to define, if this list is of type int, we have to use this question mark as well. But if this list, for example, would have been of type string, then we don't need a question mark. We can straightly use this n here inside this. So why we have defined like this, and what we can do is, instead of making this x as a sorted dictionary, why don't we use this x as a array, right? So now we have to change something here. No, we don't need to change something here because x is a array. We can use this one, and also we can't use here because why we have defined like that. So we have to use now a equal sign here. So we can use our list like a array as well, because in order to assign the arrays we use this equal sign. So we have to give the values like this, right? But if we are going to use a list like this, first of all, if we want to assign this list values with a equal sign, we have to first of all make all its entries equal to null. Like this, we are going to run this for loop from 1 to n, since this is of size n, and we are going to say y dot add null. So this we have to do. Also, if we are going to go here, we can't use this one return, because we have to first convert now this int question mark equal to list of type int, right? So we are going to say this is another list, so make this y of type int and then dot to list, convert it to the list as well, and then we are going to return this l, actually this new list, after converting that, right? So this is our complete program. Let's build and run this program so we can see the same outputs. Now I am going to show you that if we have defined our x as a dictionary, sorted dictionary. So what we are going to do is we are going to include these code lines. X we have defined right now is sorted dictionary of type int. Key and value both are the int type. We can use this line or this line. So let's, for example, use this line, right? Or we can keep this line. Actually, we can assign the values like this. So let's assign it just like in the style of an array. We don't have to change anything here. If we have defined right now x is of type sorted dictionary, right? So let's build and run this program. we can see our same outputs. So this is the way we can actually use the list as an array as well. Is assign the values. Now the last case is, but if we define our x also as of which is a type list of int, and we are going to again use this question mark, because inside this list as well we are going to put the values using an equal sign. So if we are going to define a list like this x, and it is going to take this one in this constructor n plus 1, and now actually what we are going to do is we are going to use another for loop, because to this list as well we are going to assign the values using an equal sign. But first of all we need a for loop. Since this is n plus 1, we are going to go from 0 to n, all values using this x.add function. We are going to make those null. After doing this step, just like this, we can assign this list values using the equal sign. So now if we are going to use this equal sign inside this for loop, it is going to work, otherwise not. And now if we go here, we can't use this line, and we have to use this line. So here we have this question mark, because we are going to convert this int value to this value, because right now our list is of type int with question mark, you see. So we have to use this code line as well. And after that we are going to convert this to a list of type int using the same lines, and then we can return this list. So let's build and run this program. So now we can see the same inputs and outputs. And now I am going to show you actually one more case. So if we define our if we change our list back to this list, for example, this list y, and we can exclude these lines as well, because we are again using the list, and we can exclude this line as well, and we can actually define our x as a sorted dictionary again, right? Now instead of using this for loop, we can use this for loop as well, for each I in x, and then we are going to say add to our y vector, I mean this is x, and inside this I dot value, and we are no longer going to need these lines. We can just return this y directly like in our previous cases. So let's build and run this program. So we can see the same inputs and outputs. So I think I have covered all the cases, just like C++ program for the C# case as well. So this is the way we can use the lists in C#, like arrays, or we can use the dictionaries like arrays as well, or we can use the array of list as well, like an array. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. have fun.